For those of you just tuning in, we are live in the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Houston, Texas, awaiting the berthing of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle for commercial resupply mission 9. The Dragon has been maneuvered into position by ground controllers about 4 meters away from its docking port on the nadir side of Harmony. Since the capture, we have had a transition of teams. Now the Orbit 2 team is leading the berthing procedures. Flight Director Amit Kshatriya is leading the Orbit 2 team here today. Capcom Leslie Ringo. Just about an hour and 50 minutes ago, the Dragon was captured at the end of the station's robotic arm by NASA astronaut Jeff Williams and NASA astronaut Kate Rubins. We started the broadcast at 4:30 a.m. Central Time today. The station was closing in from about 250 meters to the International Space Station. From there, it remained at 30 meters and then closed into 11 meters, its capture point. And then Jeff Williams and Kate Rubins used the station's robotic arm to capture the Dragon cargo vehicle on commercial resupply mission 9 at 5:56 a.m. Central Time, 252 statute miles over the Great Lakes. This is some replayed footage from that broadcast earlier this morning. Ground controllers have been a bit ahead of schedule, everything performing nominally, and ground controllers maneuvered the station's robotic arm and with the Dragon cargo vehicle attached to it from the capture position to its berthing position about 4 meters away from the common berthing mechanism. Slowly but surely, the station's robotic arm is bringing the Dragon cargo vehicle closer to the common berthing mechanism. This is again on the nadir port, the Earth-facing side of Harmony. This is at the forward end of the International Space Station. Ground controllers continuing to operate the station's robotic arm, the Dragon getting closer and closer to berthing to the nadir port of Harmony. Once the visiting vehicle is berthed to the International Space Station, Kate Rubins, Jeff Williams, and Takuya Onishi, all aboard the International Space Station right now, will be outfitting the common berthing mechanism, preparing for hatch opening tomorrow morning. They'll be performing they'll pressurize and perform a series of leak checks, and then outfit the vestibule with power and data jumpers. Hatch opening will be in the wee hours of tomorrow morning. And this will be revealing about 2.5 tons of food, supplies, and experiments aboard the visiting vehicle. Robotic arm operators continuing to maneuver the Dragon into its berthing position closer and closer, a bit ahead of schedule today. Once it is berthed, there will be a series of 4 gangs or groups of 4 bolts, 16 bolts in total, that will latch the cargo vehicle to the International Space Station and complete berthing. This is a live view of the Dragon cargo vehicle approaching closer and closer to the common berthing mechanism on the nadir port of the Harmony module at the forward end of the International Space Station. Nadir port being the Earth-facing port. Tomorrow, the astronauts will open up the hatch and reveal 2.5 tons of food, supplies, and experiments aboard. This includes the international docking adapter that's in the unpressurized trunk of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle. Being berthed to the nadir port of Harmony, it allows for the international docking adapter in the trunk to be well positioned for installation onto the pressurized mating adapter on the forward end of Harmony.
Station on 2 for ISO. Go ahead, Kate. Hey, Kate, we're here with you on 2 when you're ready.
The Dragon cargo vehicle maintained at a position a few inches away from the common berthing mechanism at this time. Awaiting confirmation to proceed with berthing as the International Space Station flies 258 statute miles over the South Atlantic Ocean.
And Station Houston on through, just want to check in with you what ISO questions you had.
The Dragon cargo vehicle still held a few inches away from the from berthing, still in berthing position. NASA astronaut Jeff Williams and NASA astronaut Kate Rubins, who were manipulating the station's robotic arm to capture the Dragon cargo vehicle, are now in the Destiny module and Node 1 Unity. They are preparing for their midday meal.
The lab ETU is not selected for talk, so if you could push the call to button, then that way we'll be able to hear your calls. That's a rookie mistake. Thanks, I'll do that once. Sorry, Leslie. There we go. Okay, so I found some urine collection kits when we were doing the progress show, and I've got 3 barcodes if you're ready to copy. I can stow those. They're empty urine collection kits, and I can stow them in Col 1 forward to M location if you'd like. Okay, we copy, and we'll take those barcodes. HRF 11603 Juliet. 15803 Juliet.
That was NASA astronaut Kate Rubins preparing after she and NASA astronaut Jeff Williams worked with the station's robotic arm to capture the Dragon cargo vehicle. They still have a busy day, and we're performing a series of unpacking and preparing other parts of the International Space Station for whenever some of the cargo from the Dragon comes aboard. Confirming with the officers here, the ISO officer who manages the inventory aboard the International Space Station. In the meantime, astronauts and cosmonauts aboard the International Space Station are currently scheduled for their midday meal. It's currently just past 1 p.m. GMT time for them. Meanwhile, robotic officers and ground controllers are awaiting to maneuver the station's robotic arm with the Dragon cargo vehicle positioned at the end to berth to the International Space Station, the Nader port, Nader berthing, common berthing mechanism of Harmony. The Dragon cargo vehicle remains just still a few inches away from the common berthing mechanism of the International Space Station, prepared for berthing.
Houston Station on 2. I think we have about 15 or 20 minutes left on A-Red, if that works for you, unless you want to reprioritize us.
Hey, Jeff, all good words. Let's target 13:30 for everyone to be off of exercise.
Copy. Thank you.
Ground controllers here planning for to lose some video coverage here in the next few minutes and regain that coverage back in just about 20 minutes. The Dragon maintained in place, still very close to the International Space Station. Ground controllers here estimate a handover of satellite coverage here in the next few minutes, which means we'll be losing some video coverage, and expect to regain that in about 20 minutes. The robotics officer will need video coverage to complete the berthing procedure. As the satellites hand over video coverage, we're expected to regain that in, again, just over 20 minutes at about 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Here's a live view of the International Space Station flight control room at the NASA Johnson Space Center here in Houston, Texas, where the Orbit 2 team is overseeing the berthing of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle on commercial resupply mission 9. Leading the team today, Flight Director Amit Kshatriya, and the that you see standing on the left there, and then in front of him, Leslie Ringo, the Capcom, the voice between the ground teams here and the crew on the International Space Station. They handed over from the Orbit 1 team this morning, who oversaw the capture of the Dragon cargo vehicle led by Flight Director Scott Stover, and the Capcom was Victor Glover. In case you missed it, the Dragon SpaceX cargo vehicle lifted off from a Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida earlier this week, late on Sunday, July 17th, 11:45 p.m. Central Time. After launch, it made a two-day rendezvous to the station, was captured this morning at 5:56 a.m. Central Time.
MRS flow activity, which is scheduled for 15:30 now. And if that's okay, I need a go for step 2.7.
Checking.
Meanwhile, aboard the International Space Station, NASA astronaut Jeff Williams and Kate Rubins, as well as JAXA astronaut Takuya Onishi, on their midday meal. Takuya Onishi has a few maintenance activities to conduct this afternoon, but for the main part, the trio will be outfitting and preparing Dragon after it berths. They're scheduled to perform pressurization and leak checks of the vestibule and then outfit with power and data jumpers. Hatch opening will not occur until the wee hours of tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, the Dragon SpaceX cargo vehicle remains inches away from the common berthing mechanism and the nadir port of Harmony, getting ready to berth as soon as we regain video coverage and the satellites hand over and provide that coverage for the robotics officers on the ground.
Hey, Talk, back with you. We're going to need about 5 minutes of ground commanding prior to you picking up in that activity. So if you can stand by on that, I'll give you a call when we're ready for you to step into it. And then we also have a go-back answer for Kate regarding some empty urine collect bags that she has when she's ready to copy.
Again, a few maintenance activities, a very busy environment aboard the International Space Station.
Okay, you have a go to stow them in Columbus _Gulf location.
Still a few nominal activities to take care of this afternoon, but...
And I'm sorry, I think I was saying M, that's the under the rack place in a different rack that I was thinking about. So thanks very much. Appreciate it. No problem. Thank you.
much of the afternoon for NASA astronaut Kate Rubins will be preparing the Dragon cargo vehicle and outfitting for hatch opening that's scheduled for tomorrow morning. Inside will reveal over 3,900 pounds of pressurized cargo. Plenty of food, supplies, and experiments on board the Dragon vehicle, one of which is the biomolecule sequencer, one of particular interest to NASA astronaut Kate Rubins, who has a bachelor's degree in molecular biology and a PhD in cancer biology. This biomolecule sequencer is able to sequence DNA, meaning it can precisely order the strands called nucleotides. And this is important to make real-time decisions on board for crew health. Being able to sequence DNA will be able to, in real time, identify microbes and track crew members' health, something that needs to be downloaded normally to the station. This will be able to make real-time decisions and develop real-time remediation strategies. And it'll monitor and track changes in the genetic makeup of the astronauts aboard the International Space Station. The biomolecule sequencer is quite a small device, probably the size of one's palm. Being that it's a handheld device, they're testing its technology as a proof of concept to test that A, it will work in space, and B, be easily operable by the astronauts aboard the International Space Station. Being able to sequence DNA has the ability to diagnose diseases as well as potentially help detect DNA-based life elsewhere in the solar system. The biomolecule sequencer that's currently in the pressurized volume of the Dragon cargo vehicle, now just a few inches away from berthing to the International Space Station, maintaining its position as we're awaiting to regain video coverage in just about 10 minutes. Earlier, last week, Kate Rubins and NASA astronaut Jeff Williams and NASA astronaut Kate Rubins talked a little bit more about the biomolecule sequencer and what that means for it to be aboard the International Space Station. This clip is about 4 minutes long, and Kate Rubins explains DNA sequencing and its importance very well. So let's take a look.
Hi, Kate. I'd like to expand a little bit more on that. I'm curious to know what's the first experiment that you're going to do using the DNA sequencer, and when do you plan to do that?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that shortly after SpaceX 9 arrives, and the ground teams have come up with an incredibly well thought out first set of experiments, and what we're going to do is sequence the genome of a virus, lambda-phage, which is not a pathogenic virus. It's a standard one used in the lab. We're going to sequence a bacteria again, not harmful, just one that we standardly use in the lab, and we're going to sequence mouse genome. And those are all three mixed together so that we can determine how the sequencer works on these different organisms.
And I understand that, like your colleague Sarah Wallace was hoping for something a little more exotic, but you sort of steered her into using some very commonplace pathogens, or not pathogens, but samples. So why was that?
So I think people always look at my background and think I'm going to do something crazy science fiction on space station, but we do have a lot of controls up here. Anything that we bring up to the space station has to be checked for safety because we're living in a closed loop environment. So we're very careful to maintain all of those safety controls so we don't harm the occupants of the space station. But because it is a closed loop environment, that also provides some of the really interesting scientific questions that we want to answer. We recycle our air, we recycle our water, and we've been doing that constantly as long as we've had human presence on board the space station. So we balance the safety concerns, and then we've also got a fantastic research environment to really learn some completely novel things about how human beings behave in a closed loop environment.
You know, I'm curious to know, I mean, this is a very portable device, which is it's something kind of unique for a DNA sequencer. Have you used this device before? I know that it was used, for example, in Congo for Ebola, and you were there. Is this something that you're familiar with?
Yeah, so when I was running lab, I actually used a little bit older style sequencing technologies because we didn't have to worry about having things that were so portable. But this kind of device is something that you would use in the developing world. You could use this in an outbreak situation. You could use it in a clinic where you don't have a lot of resources necessarily to buy a full-scale sequencer. But you can enable some kinds of diagnostic tests in really resource-poor settings. So I think there's going to be a lot of future development with these small portable technologies. And Space Station is an amazing place to test that out. We have constraints here like power constraints, all of our powers from the solar arrays, data constraints, and we have to engineer devices that are going to work in Space Station. Those same things are going to work in the most remote regions on Earth.
I'm curious to know, how is this going to improve the health of astronauts in the space station?
Well, right now we take samples and then we send them down on SpaceX, which actually has the ability to send down cold and frozen samples, and scientists can later analyze that. But we have a little bit of a lag, so we don't actually get to look at what's going on, and we don't get to analyze everything that's happening to human beings or to cells really in real time. These kinds of small portable genomic technologies are going to let us look in real time what's actually happening to bone degradation, for example, what's happening to your immune system, what's happening to a population of microbes that you bring up in a culture flask.
The biomolecule sequencer going to be on the International Space Station very soon. Ground controllers here are preparing to move the Dragon cargo vehicle into its berthing position. Astronauts on board will outfit the common berthing mechanism and get ready to open the hatch tomorrow morning and reveal the over 3,900 pounds of pressurized cargo on board, including the biomolecule sequencer. Everything looking nominal here in Mission Control, about to regain coverage, video coverage from the International Space Station and resume berthing operations. The International Space Station is currently experiencing an orbital sunset, 255 statute miles above the Earth, now approaching on a northeasterly direction towards Indonesia. If you missed NASA TV coverage this morning of the capture of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle and commercial resupply mission 9, we started that coverage at 4:30 a.m. Central Time and had a flawless capture, even a little bit ahead of schedule by 5:56 a.m. Central Time. Ground teams here in Mission Control Houston still monitoring the berthing of the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station on the Nader port of Harmony, the Earth-facing side of the forward end of the International Space Station. So far, a great mission for SpaceX, launching on late Sunday night Central Time, and the two-day rendezvous for capture this morning. Everything going nominally and being prepared for berthing to the International Space Station now. Just a few minutes away from regaining satellite coverage and video coverage.
Are you okay to, if we command that off now and reroute it back to the lab, or do you need that done on time?
Checking. And Jeff, you have a go to take care of that now.
Okay, it'll work. Thank you.
The ground controllers of the Orbit 2 team here in Mission Control Houston continuing to monitor the systems aboard the International Space Station, as well as the Dragon cargo vehicle being prepared for berthing as the International Space Station passes 252 statute miles above the Indian Ocean, still approaching Indonesia. This is about 2.5 hours after the capture of Dragon. This was at 5:56 a.m. Central Time this morning. Now regaining coverage now. Still 252 statute miles above the Indian Ocean, now in an orbital nighttime, the lights illuminating the Dragon cargo vehicle from the International Space Station. Ground teams here in Houston confirming the continuation of the berthing procedures of the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station, as we will have some solid video coverage for at least 30 minutes. Robotics officers slowly but surely using the space station's robotic arm, the Canadarm2, to maneuver the Dragon SpaceX cargo vehicle closer and closer to the common berthing mechanism of Harmony on the Nadir port.
Just want to get maybe a status to see how best to use my afternoon time. I have the optional exercise period, and then I have the T2 period. If we think we might be ahead on CBM and still have that big gap for the optional exercise, I'll knock out T2 then to give us a little more flexibility later in the day. Otherwise, I'll just keep it the way it is.
That's NASA astronaut Jeff Williams checking through his daily activities, checking on the exercise restrictions for as the Dragon cargo vehicle continues to berth to the International Space Station, ever closer and closer to the common berthing mechanism of the Nadir port of Harmony on the International Space Station.
Okay, good. I'll be working with you on CBMs, and then I'll be asking when the exercise constraint is lifted, and I'll be ready to get started right then.
Okay, copy all, Jeff. Once we're done with Able, you're good to go.
Ground controllers here in Houston going over the checks to confirm and complete the berthing of the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station. There'll be a series of four groups of 4 bolts, 16 bolts in total, that would need to latch to confirm the berthing of the cargo vehicle to the International Space Station, and we'll stand by for those procedures. A few steps are necessary to complete the berthing of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station, a first and second stage capture. The end of the second stage capture will complete the berthing process. In the afternoon, the astronauts Kate Rubins, Jeff Williams, and Takuya Onishi will outfit the common berthing mechanism to prepare for hatch opening tomorrow morning. And that will reveal over 3,900 pounds, or over 1,700 kilograms of cargo. Jeff Williams standing by on the International Space Station to perform operations on the common berthing mechanism that will actually bolt the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station and complete the berthing mechanism, standing by for those procedures. Now, just over 2 hours and 40 minutes after the time of capture, at 5:56 a.m. Central Time this morning, the International Space Station is currently 249 statute miles over the Philippines. Continuing to stand by here in Mission Control Houston as the final procedures of the berthing operations are underway. final procedures are underway for the berthing of the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station. The station's robotic arm is now moving the cargo vehicle closer and closer to the station to prepare for the final procedures of berthing.
And Station Houston on 2 for talk in your upcoming PMC. Your party is actually available if you would like to start that early, and we've already made Space to Ground 4 private for that.
Copy, and probably I will start it on time.
Copy on time.
Slowly but surely, ground controllers using the station's robotic arm to move the Dragon into its final berthing position. Afterwards, a series of 16 bolts will lock the cargo vehicle in place and complete the berthing procedures.
And Station Houston on 2 for Jeff. Hey, we have a question for you regarding Alexi's email.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and we were wondering if this is a good time right now for Pluto to go on board Alexi's SSC 14 so we can kind of troubleshoot his email.
I think it'd be a great time.
Okay, copy. We'll put it in work.
Thank you.
The astronauts on board the International Space Station continue with their daily activities. Some of the afternoon has been put aside for outfitting the common berthing mechanism to prepare for opening the hatch to the Dragon tomorrow morning. Ground controllers continue with the final steps of berthing the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station. Astronauts on board this afternoon will be preparing the vestibule with pressurizing and leak checks, as well as connecting cables, outfitting the vestibule with power and data jumpers. to prepare for hatch opening tomorrow morning, revealing over 3,900 pounds or 1,700 kilograms of pressurized cargo inside. The station's robotic arm is in motion once again from flight controllers, maneuvering it into its final berthing position. Slowly but surely to the common berthing mechanism on the nadir port of Harmony on the International Space Station. Operations have been nominal thus far from launch on late Sunday night, late Sunday night Central Time, early Monday morning Eastern Time, with a 2-day rendezvous and capture early this morning. Again, a bit ahead of schedule, everything going nominally at 5:56 a.m. Central Time. That was captured this morning. Ground controllers maneuvered the Dragon into its berthing position using the station's robotic arm, and we're now in the final moments of berthing the cargo vehicle to the International Space Station. The International Space Station, 252 statute miles east of Japan over the North Pacific Ocean, about to enter an orbital sunrise. The station's robotic arm is in motion once again, completing some of the final steps of berthing, now awaiting for latching to the International Space Station. The station, now 252 statute miles over the North Pacific Ocean, entering an orbital sunrise. The cargo vehicle and station now illuminated by the sun's rays. Now getting ready to latch indications from flight controllers here in Houston, ready to start bolting the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station.
And Station Houston on 2 for Jeff and CBM capture A bolts.
Go ahead, Leslie. I see 4 RTLs.
Concur. Yep, and so with that, we have verified all the constraints are complete in step 1, and so the maneuver to RTL is complete, and go for first stage capture on your part in step 2.
Step 2 is in work.
NASA astronaut Jeff Williams and NASA astronaut Kate Rubins in the Destiny module now, working with the first and second stage capture of the Dragon cargo vehicle, second stage being confirmation of berthing to the International Space Station. They're working through the procedures for first stage now.
Station on 2 per step 4, you go to SSRMS mode to limp.
Copy, and we'll put that in work.
The first set of the procedures for bolting the cargo vehicle to the International Space Station is complete. A few more steps to complete until we have confirmation of what's called second stage capture. And second stage capture will be the time that completes the berthing operations of SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station. Right now, ground controllers are waiting until we end up on the other side of what's called a handover, satellites switching over audio and visual communications to other satellites to continue to provide video coverage of some of the berthing procedures going on the International Space Station right now. The International Space Station, 253 statute miles over the North Pacific Ocean, now heading in a southeasterly direction towards the coast of California.
Station Houston on 2 for Jeff. SSRMS mode to limp complete. Go for second stage capture.
Go for second stage capture.
First stage capture is now complete. NASA astronaut Jeff Williams confirming that he will start second stage capture of the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station. Once that is complete, that will wrap up the berthing procedures of the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station, standing by for exact times and confirmation. Regaining video coverage from the International Space Station as it still remains over the North Pacific Ocean. Right now, Jeff Williams and Kate Rubins inside the Destiny module completing the wrapping up the second stage capture, which will also wrap up the berthing of the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station, standing by for confirmation of completed berthing procedures. NASA astronaut Jeff Williams and Kate Rubins continuing to work through the final stage of the berthing of Dragon to the International Space Station. And confirmed berthing of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle on commercial resupply mission 9, 9:03 a.m. Central Time, just over the border of California and Oregon, 252 statute miles above the Earth. Completed second stage capture will wrap up the berthing of SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station. A great mission, flawless all the way from launch through to capture and to berthing. Now, astronauts Kate Rubins, Jeff Williams, and Takuya Onishi will outfit the vestibule of the International Space Station, flipping power and data jumpers and pressurizing and performing leak checks, all preparing for opening the hatch tomorrow, revealing over 3,900 pounds, over 1,700 kilograms of pressurized cargo. The Dragon cargo vehicle carrying 2.5 tons total of cargo to the International Space Station. Again, confirmed berthing of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle today, 9:03 a.m. Central Time, just over the border of California and Oregon, 252 statute miles above the Earth. A great mission for commercial resupply mission 9 of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle. It launched late on Sunday night, 11:45 p.m. Central Time, July 17th, early morning, July 18th Eastern Time, for a 2-day rendezvous and capture to the International Space Station that was covered earlier this morning. A flawless capture, even a bit early, ahead of schedule, 5:56 a.m. Central Time. And that was done by robotic operators of the station's robotic arm, NASA astronaut Jeff Williams and NASA astronaut Kate Rubins. Meanwhile, JAXA astronaut Takuya Onishi monitored from the Cuckoo that provided communications and telemetry of the Dragon cargo vehicle to the International Space Station. Ground controllers maneuvered the station's robotic arm with the Dragon cargo vehicle attached to its berthing position for an official berthing time at 9:03 a.m. Central Time today, July 20th, just over the border of California and Oregon. Its capture, once again, was at 5:56 a.m. Central Time over the Great Lakes, a fitting geological location for what has occurred, a U.S. commercial vehicle captured by the Canadian robotic arm. And that will wrap up coverage of SpaceX capture and berthing. If you'd like to find out more about the International Space Station and follow updates, check out the International Space Station blog, as well as social media pages, the International Space Station pages of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and ask any question you'd like using the hashtag AskNASA. That will wrap up the coverage of SpaceX commercial resupply mission 9 capture and berthing to the International Space Station. This is Mission Control, Houston.